How to install a set of hand controls. Hand controls being for those who are unable to use their legs for the pedals for whatever reason that might be. This is a project that I've been wanting to do for a long time. I've always thought it would be awesome for somebody who wasn't able to drive a UTV to be able to get out on their own. What really magnified that for me is that when I broke my foot and ankle and was unable to drive, it really brought it to light. And while mine is simply a temporary problem, I got really thinking about those who are permanently. So anyway, so what we're going to do today is put on a set of hand controls. The nice thing about this set of hand controls versus some of the others that we've tried is the fact that you do not have to be a certified installer to install them. This may be one of the only brands. These are made in Canada. And the reason for that is this particular unit and all these for the UTVs are specifically made for the UTV, and they cannot be installed on a car or truck, and that's been the liability issue of it before. Like I said, the brand name is Sure Grip. So without further ado, let's try to get started here. There may be some angles here you may have a hard time viewing with the camera and all, but if you'll listen to me when those times that you can't see some of the stuff, then just listen in and do it that way. Of course, if you have any questions, you can always call here. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to actually install the hand grip right up on the column. Okay. The grip will come with the clamp already attached. Alright, let me get my orientation correct. Alright, here we go. Now, this is the orientation that we'll start with, and you're going to put it right on the base. You got your top clamp here. We got a nut and a washer. Goes on the bottom. I believe these are 1/2 inch. Alright, now the trick here is we want this hand control to be level in here, not up like this, and so you want to get this base tube section right here very flat. Don't worry about the handle and what direction it's going right now, but the movement should be flat. Alright, the torque on this is 25 foot-pounds. For right now, I'm just going to tighten it up. Okay. So there our hand grip basic, this part is installed. Now the next thing we can do is we're going to go down to the accelerator pedal, but we've got to remove the pedal, and I'll show you how to do that real quick. Alright, the reason you have to remove the pedal is because you have a little bracket that attaches right here, and it has some set screws on it, and you've got to drill some little pilot holes. Alright, that's what's called an E-clip, and you just slide it out. I use a flathead screwdriver. There's our washer. There's a spring here. I've got a spring tool, but you could do it with a pair of needle nose. And then the last thing you've got to do is take off your accelerator cable. So it's clipped in there, plastic clip right here. Be careful not to break it. Alright, over to the side, pedals off. Okay, this is a pedal as an orientation as it is in a Rhino. If you'll look, now this is on 08 model. I'm not sure about the others. I can walk over and look at my 05 model. But there's a little tab here. So what you want to do is take your accelerator rod, and that's the one with this clamp on it, and you slide it in like so. Okay, there's a little cutout right here, and I'll demonstrate it this direction. Alright, you see how that goes right up in there. Okay, now you've got two set screws right here. So what you do is you take an Allen wrench and you turn these screws in. You go, well, I could have done that on a vehicle. Yeah, you could, but just a step here. Alright, you screw them in and you make a mark on the pedal. Alright, then you unscrew them and you take, if I can get it unscrewed good enough. Okay, now I've already drilled mine because I've installed these. I took about a 1/8 drill. I think the directions that come with it may tell you exactly, but I took a 1/8 drill and kind of made a countersink, probably a 1/16 of an inch down into the pedal right where those marks was. Okay, so after you drill your little countersinks, slide your bracket back on, go down into the pedal, get it back in the same spot, and tighten these down to 25 inch-pounds. Okay. Alright. Alright, if there's a little weird transition here, after I did the install video, I saw that there's an optional way to install the accelerator pedal rod, and it's probably a better way. The way that I had it is with the clamp on the back of the pedal. The problem with that is you won't be able to go full throttle. It's an easy install that way. So the optional way we're going to do it is I've got the accelerator pedal back off. I'm going to drill a hole right in the middle of where this bracket goes, right in the side right here. So I'm going to center that bracket and make sure that I've got a place here that the swivel will not hit anything. Okay, so I'm going to take a hammer and a punch and get me a spot to start drilling. Alright, and I'm going to drill a hole slightly larger than the screw on the swivel or tie rod. I can get it started. Maybe I need to get a punch it again. Of course, I got this soft cover on there, and it didn't want to do a real good job. Okay, our hole is through. Now you got a lot washer here, and I'm going to put one on each side just because I think it could use a good washer, and it's not going to hurt anything to use that lot washer again that came out of that block. Alright, so we just tighten up our accelerator cable. I believe this is actually a 7/16 nut. .25 inch-pounds is a torque on it. Okay. Now our cable, our accelerator rod is installed. You can finish watching the video, you adjust it out, no different. But now, here's how our pedal would be. When you mash on it, it will go all the way to the floor, whereas before with this block on here on the back side, you would have the thickness of this give you full throttle. If you're, as I like to use a term around here, speed challenged, that might be the route to go. But this was obviously the better route. Like I said, just follow the rest of the video for this install. Alright, now that our accelerator rod is on, we can reattach our cable, our pedal back on. Might be better if I slide it on. Now there is a particular place this thing's got to go, and it's pretty obvious where it is. when you do it. Okay, get your rubber back on that good. Alright, put your washer back on. Put your clamp, E-clip back on. This may take a little more than fingers to get that on. Make sure mine's on so it don't come off in a race. Then reattach your spring. Let's see. These little spring tools make this easy. Okay, there's our accelerator rod. Now, you take your brake rod and you can screw the black part down on here pretty good ways. I've already got mine on. Yours will come separate. These things will come separate too. You can see how I got it set up with the long, I believe those are, oh heck, I don't even know what size bolts them are, but this be quite obvious. There's a shorter set that would go through here if we were putting it on a golf cart, because this particular set will go on a Yamaha golf cart as well as this Yamaha Rhino. Alright, so I've got one bolt through, and I take this. Alright, now I've got it right above the bend in the brake pedal. Put the bolt through, got a washer, a lock nut, I don't know if you can see there's a bend right there. Now there's a reason to put it there, because you don't want to interfere with this brake rod, I mean the accelerator rod. If you put it up closer, plus it takes more force with your hands there. Okay. This is a 1/2 inch, and these tighten up to 25 inch-pounds. I mean foot-pounds. That's good enough for now. What you see is we got a lock nut here and some nuts over here. Alright, I'm just going to show you what to do with it. Okay, now, first thing you do is you get your rod that's nothing on the end. It goes on the accelerator rod, okay? And you just simply slide it over. We'll worry about the position of those nuts in a little bit. Okay? Matter of fact, we got to go down with them now, because our rod end is too high up to get onto the hand control, and this is of course part of what you'll be doing. Alright, we'll worry about adjusting it out shortly. Okay, now the rod goes on the end. This is part I see the steering wheel's in the way. There we go, we turn it that direction. Right here on the end, finger tight the nut for right now, and and it's obvious to where the brake rod goes, and I'll move the camera in a sec. I'm having to screw mine down. What I want you to know though is the end of this goes through the place on the hand control in this direction. There's a tab underneath here, and it goes from the right to the left. Okay. Now I'm going to put my nut on this as well. Other than tightening this up, this hand control and adjusting it is basically installed. Okay, but I'm gonna move the camera around. Right over here on the end is our rod for the accelerator, and here is our brake rod. The way these things work is you push down to mash the gas. Okay, that's all the way to the floor. And here's our brake. You push on it. Okay, push on it right like that, and that mashes our brake. Now, the adjustments. There's a nut on the opposite end of this shaft over here, and it's a 9/16. If you want to adjust the angle of this, you do it in two ways. One, we'll do it with our accelerator pedal because we want to get our slack out, okay? So it just so happens mine's in pretty good shape as is. Once, and I'll move this down. Once I tighten up this nut up against this rod. Okay, what I was doing here is taking the slack out of the hand controls for the gas, okay, by adjusting this nut. Alright, now when I mash the gas, you can see the pedal. I'm just bringing the, and it's bottoming out. Now when I push on the brake, you can see that the brake is going down as well. Now, if I were going to use these hand controls, I might want, and I'll bring them up, see there's a glare, I might want my handle up something like this, okay? So, this is why we didn't tighten up these nuts yet. So, alright, so we pull this nut off, pull that rod out, and lengthen the rod by unscrewing it till you get it the way that you want it. Okay, now this might be more appropriate. That looks more appropriate. My point is, and I apologize for this view, the point is you can adjust this angle two different ways. One is by, first of all, you want to get the slack out by tightening up the nut on the accelerator rod, okay? The second way to adjust this angle is, and again, this is a bad spot for the camera, but on the end of this shaft there's a 9/16 nut. If you'll loosen it up, you can then change this angle to whatever fits you. Of course, I'm mashing the pedal now, but this will rotate around to whatever fits you, okay? Now the second thing is adjusting the brake rod. Alright, again, you simply slide this out, turn it to what fits you where you want it, okay? And where it doesn't hit, where the hand control doesn't hit the light switch, the brake pedal goes all the way. When all's said and done, put your nut on here, tighten the nut on the accelerator rod on the other end, tighten all of these lock nuts up. Now what are you doing here is, what you're doing right here is you're tightening up these two nuts against each other, not against this rod. And the purpose of that is to hold this spot, because if you'll look, when I mash the brake, it slides, okay? So we're not tightening the nut up against this, we're tightening them against to hold them right there. And then simply run this nut all the way up to the bottom of your brake rod and tighten it up, okay? There you go, tighten that up to hold that in position. Alright, see, basically that was pretty darn easy. You know, pretty much anybody could do that. Of course, you got questions, you can call here. Unfortunately, I can't take this Rhino for a test drive with these hand controls on here today because last weekend I was in a wreck. not a wreck, a race, I'm sorry. I'm thinking back to my motorcycle wreck. But I was in a race and I tore up the right front. So today it's sitting on a jack stand right here in front of our shop, and I'm not getting taken for a drive. But like I said earlier, before we got started, guys, it's just an awesome way for those who have not been able to have a UTV to get it and go on their own. We've got some very inspirational people, customers of ours that become our friends. Nick Smith, Mark Thomas, I believe Brian, who turned me on to this set of hand controls right here. This is a great accessory to go along with the power steering. Most all these guys have power steering as well. We actually have power steering in our Rhino here because I race with it and love it. The two go hand in hand. On the power steering, if you'll give me a call, I'll give you a little bit better deal than what's stated on the website, and that applies to anybody. But like I said, these guys have told me that it's just a wonderful feeling to be able to get on their Rhino or whatever UTV and go out and be on their own, be by themselves. I, for one, like I said, it's temporary wound with my foot and all. A week or two after I hurt myself, I got on my tractor. Shouldn't have been, but I got on it and I felt so independent. So again, these things just give those who don't normally have the freedom to do, and everybody becomes equal. Just like in the race last weekend, I have a broke foot and everybody warned me not to do it, but I did it. We won, and it gave me, again, that freedom, and I was just like everybody else there on the track. And so it's just an awesome feeling. Like I said, if you have questions on install, give us a call here at Hunter Works and we'll be glad to help you out.